All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today we are going to be taking a good look at Las Vegas Sands Q3 2024 earnings call.
Lots to unpack, for sure.
Yeah, we've got transcripts, stock movements, all that.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and we're here to kind of help you guys, break it all down.
Make sense of it.
Yeah, find that story, the story behind the numbers.
Absolutely.
And so I guess first up, we got to start with Macau, right?
Macau, always a hot topic.
Yeah, and especially with, all the talk about China's economic slowdown. It's always interesting to see how LVS is navigating that market.
Right. And actually, what's remarkable is that, despite all those headwinds that you mentioned, Macau's gaming revenue is actually booming.
Really?
Yep. The earnings call highlighted double-digit growth just this quarter, and it's driven primarily by what they call the premium mass segment.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's maybe unpack that idea a little bit, that premium mass.
Sure.
What exactly what are we talking about here?
So essentially, premium mass refers to players who are looking for a more elevated experience than, your average gambler, but aren't quite at the high roller level.
Okay.
So they're willing to spend, they appreciate luxury, but they're still, discerning about value.
They're looking for that sweet spot.
Exactly. And in LVS, with their focus on, upscale properties like the Venetian and the Parisian are really attracting this segment.
In droves, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the Venetian and the Parisian, how are they doing, compared to the newer kid on the block, the Londoner?
Right. Well, the Londoner actually faced some pretty significant hurdles this quarter because of those major renovations that they're doing.
Ah.
They had to temporarily close the casino and take something like 2,500 rooms out of inventory.
Oof, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, it definitely impacted their margins.
Yeah, but they did unveil that new Londoner Grand Casino, right?
They did, yeah.
And the first batch of those, 1,500 luxury suites?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they did. And over the next couple of quarters, they're going to be rolling out even more suites, ultimately aiming for a whopping 4,400 total.
Wow, that's a lot of suites.
Yeah, think about it. Over 60% of the rooms at the Londoner will be suites.
That's an incredible number.
It's pretty much unprecedented in the industry.
So, it kind of makes you wonder, is this a sign of things to come?
Right.
Is this the future of the casino resort experience, catering to this more, I don't know, sophisticated, demanding, premium mass player?
I think it's definitely a strong indicator of where LVS sees the market heading.
Yeah.
They're betting big on the idea that people are willing to pay a premium for that premium experience.
Right.
Even in a place like Macau, where gambling has traditionally been, more mass market focus.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's almost like they're kind of flipping the script a little bit.
Yeah, they are.
And I think for you, the listener, think about what this means for LVS's overall strategy.
Right.
Even with the economic uncertainty in China, they're doubling down on luxury and exclusivity in Macau.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gamble, but if it pays off, it could really redefine the whole landscape of the casino industry, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
And it's not just about the rooms and the casinos either, right?
No, it's not.
They also talked a lot about the importance of entertainment.
Right.
They talked about their newly renovated arenas and how they plan to attract, top tier performers and events and things like that.
Yeah, drawing the crowds.
So it's about creating this complete destination experience.
Right, exactly.
Something that goes beyond just gambling and offers, a full spectrum of entertainment and leisure options.
Whole package.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They want to make their properties in Macau the place to be.
For everyone, yeah.
Not just for gamblers, but for anyone seeking that world-class, entertainment and hospitality experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before we get too carried away with Macau's dazzling lights, let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
And jet over to Singapore.
Sounds good.
Marina Bay Sands, always a showstopper.
Always impressive.
How did they do this quarter?
Marina Bay Sands continues to really shine, delivering another strong quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, their average daily rate, you're not going to believe this, hit an astounding $900.
Whoa.
That speaks volumes about the quality of their newly renovated rooms
Right.
and the enduring strength of the high-end tourism market in Singapore.
$900 a night.
Yep.
I guess those room renovations are really, really paying off.
They are, and they've also seen positive results from expanding their salon capacity and the addition of that new Sky gaming area, both of which, are catering to those high-value players we were talking about before.
Right, right. So now let's talk about, I don't know, kind of the elephant in the room, or rather the massive construction project looming over Marina Bay Sands.
Right.
The IR2 expansion.
Yes, the IR2 LVS is pouring a cool $6.5 billion into this expansion.
It's a lot of money.
It is, and it sounds like it is going to be absolutely epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just imagine a full-fledged integrated resort with a world-class arena, all sorts of amazing dining and entertainment options, and yes, even more gaming capacity.
They even mentioned, I think, wanting to make this new tower the best hotel in the world.
Did, yeah.
That's a bold statement.
It is, but considering their track record and the ambition behind this project, I wouldn't underestimate them.
No, they definitely have a history of delivering on those big bold promises.
They do.
And this is where it gets really interesting, I think, because they specifically emphasize that IR2 is targeted at the high value tourism market.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're really doubling down on this segment, both in Macau and Singapore.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes sense,
Yep.
considering those impressive ADRs they're already achieving at Marina Bay Sands.
Right.
They're tapping into a very lucrative niche, and they're showing no signs of slowing down.
So for you, the listener, pay attention to this trend.
Right.
LVS is betting big on the continued growth of high-end tourism in Asia.
Yeah.
Is this a wise strategy? I mean, only time will tell, but it's certainly shaping the future of the casino resort experience, wouldn't you say?
I would agree with that.
Okay, so before we move on, let's take a quick look at LVS's overall financial picture this quarter.
All right.
Because I know they mentioned a slight dip in their overall EBITDA share in Macau.
Right, and that dip is largely attributed to those disruptions at the Londoner that we were talking about.
Right.
But they seem very confident that it's just a temporary setback, and that their EBITDA share will bounce back as the renovations wrap up and the base mass market starts returning.
Right. So that base mass market, we're talking about, the more casual gamblers, right?
Right, exactly.
The ones who maybe were a little deterred by the construction and all the, the focus on high rollers during the renovations.
Yeah, maybe a bit.
Okay, so LVS is banking on their return.
They are.
Once the Londoner is fully operational, and they can offer more diverse range of gaming experiences again.
Right.
All right, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Any other key financial takeaways from the call?
Oh, they also mentioned that they're looking into reinstating dividends for Sands China.
Oh, okay.
And that's good news for shareholders.
Yeah.
It indicates their confidence in the future profitability of their Macau operations.
Yeah, it's always a good sign when a company is willing to share the wealth with its investors, so to speak.
Mm.
It shows that they believe in their long-term prospects.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, now before we move on to the next part of our deep dive here,
All right.
let's take a quick look at how the market reacted to LVS's earnings announcement.
Okay.
As of the close on October 24th, LVS was trading at $52.47, up 2.8% for the day.
Not bad at all.
Not bad, not bad. It seems like investors are feeling pretty optimistic about LVS's direction.
It does seem that way. They're
Yeah.
clearly impressed with the strong performance in Singapore, and they're willing to overlook the temporary hiccup in Macau, trusting in LVS's ability to navigate these challenges and come out on top, I think.
Yeah, sounds like they're pretty confident in the long-term vision here.
I think so.
Okay, well that's a great overview, I think, of the key highlights from the earnings call.
Yeah, definitely a lot to digest there.
Lots to digest, but I think we've set the stage nicely.
We have.
And we'll delve deeper into some of these topics in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
So stay tuned for that.
It's interesting to see how LVS is walking this tightrope between catering to these high rollers and still appealing to, a broader audience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough balance.
It is.
It seems like they're really trying to strike that balance,
Right.
especially in Macau, where they've been pushing this diversification strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not just about attracting different types of players, right?
Hmm.
They're also responding to the Macau government's, new concession terms,
Right.
which really emphasize the importance of non-gaming amenities and contributions to the local community.
Yeah, they talked about that quite a bit on the call.
They did.
It's a significant shift from the previous concession period where the focus was primarily on gaming revenue.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So now they're being tasked with developing these more holistic, entertainment and leisure experiences, promoting cultural tourism, supporting local businesses,
Yeah.
and really becoming, integrated into the fabric of Macau's society.
Exactly.
It's about being a good corporate citizen, not just a profitable casino operator.
Right, right. And LVS seems to be embracing this challenge.
Yeah.
They highlighted their investments in non-gaming offerings like those renovated arenas that we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
And they talked about their commitment to, creating jobs and fostering economic growth in Macau.
And they even mentioned MACE events,
Right.
meetings, incentives, conferences, exhibitions, all that as a key area of focus.
Right, and that's a whole other market that they can tap into.
Right.
One that's less reliant on gambling and more aligned with the government's vision for a diversified Macau economy.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you wonder, is this the future of the casino industry as a whole?
Mm.
Are we going to see this shift away from, these purely gambling centric resorts towards these more multifaceted entertainment
No,
destinations?
it's certainly a trend worth watching
Yeah.
as governments around the world, grapple with the social and economic impacts of gambling. We might see more and more pressure on casino operators to expand their offerings and contribute more meaningfully to their communities.
Yeah. Yeah. And for LVS, this could be an opportunity to really leverage their expertise
Hmm.
in creating those world-class entertainment and hospitality experiences
Right.
to really solidify their position as leaders in this evolving industry.
Absolutely.
Now, while they're certainly putting a lot of emphasis on diversification and non-gaming amenities,
Right.
it's important to remember that LVS is still at its core a gaming company.
Right, of course.
Right. And then they made it very clear on the call that they're not, abandoning their roots. They're
Mm.
still focused on delivering those exceptional gaming experiences, particularly for those high value players that they're targeting.
Hmm.
They talked about those newly renovated salons at Marina Bay Sands, for example,
Right.
and how they're seeing, strong performance from the premium mass segment in Macau.
Yeah.
They're catering to the discerning gambler, the one who demands that luxury, that exclusivity, and that personalized service.
Exactly.
And they believe that there's still significant growth potential
Yeah.
in this market, especially as Asia's wealth continues to rise.
I think they're right.
Yeah.
And they also touched on their commitment to disciplined financial management and maximizing margins.
Right.
They're not just throwing money at every opportunity.
Right.
They're being strategic about their investments and focusing on initiatives that will drive profitability.
So it's a balancing act.
It is.
They're trying to grow the business, invest in these new projects like IR2, and meet the government's expectations,
Yeah.
all while maintaining a healthy bottom line.
Yeah, a lot to juggle.
A lot to juggle, and so far they seem to be managing this balancing act pretty well.
They do.
They have a proven track record of delivering strong returns for investors,
Right.
and they're confident in their ability to navigate the challenges ahead.
Yeah, they seem to be.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive here,
Sure.
there's one more topic I wanted to address. LVS's potential interest in the Middle East.
Ah, yes, yes, the burgeoning gaming market in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's been generating a lot of buzz lately, especially after one of LVS's competitors recently secured a license there
Mhm.
and announced some pretty impressive projected returns.
So naturally, analysts were curious about whether LVS would follow suit and jump into this new market.
Right, right. And their response was quite interesting, actually. They acknowledged that the Middle East is a market that they're continuing to study.
Okay.
but they stopped short of making any concrete commitments.
So they're being cautious,
They are.
which makes sense. I mean, it's a new and evolving market
It is.
with a lot of unknowns.
A lot of unknowns. Yeah, there are regulatory hurdles to overcome, cultural sensitivities to navigate, and of course the competitive landscape to consider.
Yeah, it's not a decision to be made lightly,
Right.
especially when you're already investing, billions in existing projects like IR2.
Exactly. They're not going to chase every shiny object that comes along. They're being disciplined, they're being strategic, focusing on opportunities that align with their long-term vision.
Right.
And have the potential to deliver those significant returns.
Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
LVS is playing the long game.
I think that's a fair assessment.
They're making these calculated moves, diversifying their portfolio, carefully evaluating these new markets. It's a measured approach,
It is.
but one that's proven successful for them in the past.
Definitely.
And speaking of the long game, there's one more topic that looms large on the horizon: online gambling.
Yes. The elephant in the digital room.
Yeah. This is something that came up on the call,
It did.
and I'm curious to get your take on it.
Well, it's no secret that online gambling has been, growing rapidly in recent years.
Yeah.
And it's certainly something that LVS is keeping a close eye on.
Yeah, they even cited New Jersey as an example where online revenue is on track to surpass land-based revenue.
Right, which is quite a startling statistic.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, is this the beginning of the end for these traditional brick and mortar casinos?
Yeah, I mean it's a valid question.
It is.
Now before we get too carried away with doomsday predictions,
Right. Yeah.
let's take a step back and consider the bigger picture.
Okay.
Because while online gambling offers, undeniable convenience and accessibility, it can't fully replicate the immersive experience of being in a physical casino.
That's true.
Think about the excitement of the casino floor, the energy of the crowd, the thrill of live entertainment.
Right.
These are all things that draw people to places like Las Vegas, Macau, and Singapore.
Yeah, that atmosphere.
It's about the atmosphere, the social interaction, the escape from everyday life.
Right, exactly.
And LVS understands this.
They do.
They're investing heavily in creating these unforgettable experiences, these destinations that offer, something for everyone, not just gamblers. So while online gambling may capture a segment of the market, I believe there will always be a demand for the unique experiences that land-based casinos provide.
I think so too.
Perhaps we'll see a hybrid model emerge,
Right.
where online and offline gaming converge to create these even more engaging and entertaining experiences.
That's an interesting thought. Imagine being able to seamlessly transition between playing online from the comfort of your home and then stepping into a physical casino and continuing your gaming journey.
Yeah, it could be a win-win for both operators and players.
Absolutely.
And it would certainly align with LVS's commitment to innovation and staying ahead of the curve. Well, this deep dive has certainly given us a lot to think about.
It has, yeah.
From Macau's resilience to Singapore's luxury boom and the looming question of online gambling's impact.
Right.
There's no shortage of intriguing developments in the world of LVS.
That's for sure.
They're navigating a complex and rapidly evolving industry, but they seem to be doing so with confidence and a clear vision for the future.
Yeah, they do.
And for you, the listener, the key takeaway is this: pay attention to how LVS continues to adapt and innovate.
Right.
They're a company that's not afraid to make bold moves.
Yeah.
And their journey is a fascinating case study in how to thrive in a dynamic and ever-changing market.
I agree.
Okay, so I think it's time to kind of wrap things up here and give our listeners some key takeaways.
Sounds good to me.
Where do we even begin? I mean, we covered a lot of ground today.
We did a lot to unpack.
Macau's surprising strength.
Right.
Singapore's luxury boom, and this always kind of looming question of online gambling and the impact that's going to have.
And of course that massive IR2 expansion.
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, that's a game changer
Yeah, for sure.
for LVS, for Singapore, really for the whole region.
Absolutely. So if you had to like boil it all down,
Mm-hmm.
what are the most important things for our listeners to remember about of LVS's performance this quarter and their strategy moving forward?
I think the biggest takeaway is that LVS is playing the long game here.
Okay.
They're not afraid to make those bold moves, invest heavily in their properties, and adapt to whatever the market throws at them.
Right. So they're weathering the storm in Macau.
Right.
They're capitalizing on the luxury boom in Singapore,
Right.
and they're carefully evaluating these new opportunities like the Middle East, all while keeping a watchful eye on the rise of online gambling.
It's a balancing act for sure. But they seem to be managing it all with a lot of confidence and a clear vision for the future.
And I think for investors,
Mm-hmm.
that long-term perspective is really crucial.
It is, yeah.
Don't get too caught up in the short-term fluctuations. Focus on the fundamentals.
Absolutely.
LVS has a proven track record of delivering strong returns,
They do.
and they're well positioned to continue doing so for years to come.
I agree completely.
Now, there's one more thing I want to highlight before we sign off here.
Okay.
LVS is a company that's not afraid to innovate,
Right.
to push the boundaries of what's possible in the casino resort industry.
They're always pushing the envelope.
Yeah, we saw that with the IR2 expansion,
Mm-hmm.
and we're seeing it with their efforts to diversify their offerings and
Yeah.
create those unforgettable experiences for their guests.
They really are creating something special.
Yeah.
It's not just about gambling. It's about creating a whole world, a destination.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, as you continue to follow LVS's journey,
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to how they're using technology, design, entertainment to really redefine the casino experience.
Right. Because it's more than just building casinos these days.
Yeah, they're building worlds, like you said.
They are.
And for those of you who are new to LVS or the casino industry in general, I hope this deep dive has given you a better understanding of this fascinating and complex world.
It's a world of high stakes.
Yeah.
Calculated risks.
Yeah.
And endless possibilities.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to say goodbye.
Sounds good.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
And we'll be here to guide you through it.
All right. Take care, everybody.
See you next time.